been having, this is the only audience, they stand up in a commercial break. We're dancing. Happy moments for sure in this break. But our next guest, Dannie De Novo, was living what she called the dream life. She was a successful attorney, married with a new baby and a beautiful home. But behind closed doors, she said she struggled with severe clinical depression, believing she simply wasn't wired for happiness. Then a life-changing moment with her daughter caused her to immerse herself in finding out what would make her happy. She says she studied happiness like she studied for the bar exam, seeking answers from professionals from around the world in science and spirituality. And now she's sharing her journey to help others find what she describes as joy and fulfillment. Please welcome to our happiness conversation, Dannie De Novo. I'm going to cut straight to it, Dannie. Thank you for joining us. You say you think you weren't wired for happiness. I've heard people say they felt like they didn't deserve happiness, but you weren't wired. What does that mean?
I was told by doctors that I was not wired for happiness. I was told by therapists and doctors that people like me don't make it.
What do they mean by people like you?
People like me who are just clinically depressed their entire lives and they can't really figure out why that is. They try medication, they try therapy, they try a number of other things, but nothing worked for me for whatever reason. And so they assumed that I would carry out my suicidal tendencies and thoughts and that I wouldn't be a problem for them anymore.
With your journey, you said it was a moment with your 8-month-old daughter, Carson. Carson is now 8 years old, but at the time was 8 months old. Yeah. You saw Carson copying you as you made dinner.
Yes.
What was happening?
So I was stirring a pot on the stove and she was on the floor with her play bowls and spoons. And I looked down at her and she looked up at me with her big brown eyes and she started mimicking me, stirring, right? And she was waiting for that validation. Look, I'm just like mommy. So I bent down and I said, yes, just like mommy. But as soon as those words came out of my mouth, I almost fainted on top of her and I just started sobbing because I realized she was copying everything that I was doing. And I was showing her how to live a very unhappy, unfulfilled, lonely, depressed life. And I could not let the same thing that happened to me happen to my daughter.
So you studied happiness holistically. You sought out spiritual leaders. You looked at neuroscience. That is a big leap because I don't even know how one starts on that journey. You
know, I just started where it made sense. I looked at religion and philosophy, and then answers just started coming in from different places. I studied with monks, with shaman, with personal development people, business development people, anybody I thought had an answer to the question, what is happiness?
Did you see it as research?
I did. That's how I looked at it. Because remember, I didn't think I was wired for it. So I didn't think I could change anything about myself. But I thought if I learned about it and taught my daughter at a young enough age, she could avoid all of the suffering that I had gone through.
I love that. You say that you have to work on happiness constantly, like it's a muscle. And you recorded a video diary showing a day in the life of what you do to exercise that muscle. Take a look.
Good morning. It's really early, and I actually really struggle with waking up and getting out of bed. And so what I put into place, it's a photo of my daughter. She's the reason I get out of bed every single day. A great way to greet the day is to come outside barefoot and do a little grounding with the earth, but also do some heart breathing. When you breathe in and out, you envision the breath is coming into your heart and out of the base of your heart. So it looks a little like this. It's about halfway through my day, and I always like to take a moment and just make sure that I'm not holding any tension in my body. And then get back to work. There you go, the end of my day. It's time for sleep. First thing I do is make sure my blackout curtains are shut all the way, and then I say, Alexa, change light to red. Okay. Because it trains my brain to get ready for sleep. And then I turn off my device. Good night.
Very sweet. So, in total, how many people you think you interviewed on this journey?
Hundreds, and read hundreds of books. I continue to read hundreds of books every year. I'm just obsessed with the information, but not just because it's interesting to me, but because I know I have to model the behavior every single day for my daughter. Wow. If I'm not doing it, if I'm not going out into the world, chasing my happiness, fulfilling everything I want to, living my life, how is she ever going to learn how to do that? And so since she's watching every single day, Mom has to have the answers to the questions.
I love that. I love that. Well, we're all watching too. So if people here, is there one thing that you learned with all of the people you interviewed, all of the travel you did on this journey? Is there one takeaway you think people could start today with?
If you want to be happy, you have to be brave.
How is happiness bravery?
Well, you have to do two things. One is you have to be brave enough to listen to your heart, to know exactly what it takes for you to be happy. And that's a hard thing to do. But then you have to be brave enough to act in conformity with that voice, despite what society says, what your family says, what people think of you, what you think of yourself. So every day you have to make the conscious decision to be a little bit braver than yesterday.
All right, I love that. Thank you, Danny. I appreciate you so much.